Okay, we're looking south on Calhoun Hill. It's the road loop up there. We have a small draw that's leading to the Keogh sector where I am to the north. And Calhoun Hill fell apart. Survivors ran down this draw, and as I'm looking at the draw, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 markers running down the draw. Right down here, here's another one. That's a 6th guy. Probably horse holders and survivors from company C&L from Calhoun Hill. That's 6. There's 7 and 8 are down in there. Nice place to hide. 9th guy is all the way over there on the ridge. It's marker 174. Apparently he tried to get away that way and they got him. Now if we turn around, we have Captain Miles Walter Keogh's Company I. There's 2 markers here, and this is a dense cluster of 19 markers. There are the others coming into focus. We're looking north now toward Last Stand Hill, and you can see the ridge up top where the cars are. And Jim's actually standing up there, and you can see they look like little dots. So there's not, it's pretty good distance. These 19 guys tried to form a defense, but they were pretty much enveloped by chaos right away. They accepted what survivors came from Calhoun Hill. Unfortunately, they lost their commander right off the bat, Captain Miles Walter Keogh, the commander of not only this company, but of the entire right wing. And you can see his marker right here. The marker is a little displaced. It actually was probably a few feet behind where I'm standing. They've moved it a couple times. It's a newer marker. The old marker disintegrated pretty much. Souvenir hunters would taken chips off these older markers, and you can see here's an older marker here. It's worn out, and another way you can tell if it's an older marker, it won't have a number on it, like the back of this marker. As you can see, it has a stamped number on it, 181. That's how you know. But as I said, Keogh was shot while he was mounted. The bullet that went through his leg crushed his knee, and it actually embedded into his horse, Comanche. They found Comanche on the battlefield 2 days later and actually nursed it back to health. So he dropped, and when he did, as I get a further back picture, his NCOs, non-commissioned staff, and his trumpeter surrounded him and tried to protect him, and as you can see, they died in this small cluster here right in front of the draw. Now if I turn around, the other group of 19 are right here, and as you can see, they also, it looks like it was kind of like an irregular circle here that they were trying to make. And I'll continue back as we take a look at these guys. And they pan back to the markers again. As you can see, the 19 markers all clustering back toward the Keogh marker there. Now once these 19 guys died, another group, and these are still part of the first group. There's 2 markers right here in front of me. That's an older marker there. And then back there, right by the bush, there's a marker there, and that's an original 1890 marker. Yeah, I can tell how old it is, and that'd be a good place for a trooper to hide. As we look north toward the Custer Hill, we come across a second group of markers. As you can see, it's rocky terrain here. I'm kind of bouncing around. The second group was commanded by First Lieutenant James Porter, who was the executive officer of Company I, while Keogh, the commander, and his non-commissioned staff and trumpeter died in the first cluster. Apparently James Porter managed to escape and make it to this group of markers, where I guess he tried to create another stand, but it didn't work out very well. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 markers in this cluster. A lot of these markers are newer toward the front of the trail, and then we have some older markers. Here is the James Porter marker. Let me get close to you, get a nice picture of you. It's nice and bright because the sun's on him. Good old James. Was never identified, but it's definite that he died in this sector, most likely decapitated. And we'll do the turn again to the south, and there they are, the markers for James Porter, and you can see back there in distance the scattering white markers of the Keogh 19 cluster. Now we're going to turn back and go north again, and now the markers are really going to get scattered as we work our way up the ridge. It's a hefty hike, I'll tell you. A lot of these guys didn't have horses, by the way. They were running on foot, and you've got Indians behind you trying to kill you. I'm breathing heavy just walking up this ridge, so you can imagine how they felt. We have a couple markers here. 2 guys got killed. Way over there, there's 2 markers on the ridge. And then we get in front here, we got 3 more markers. 3 more dudes got killed. Then we got a little cluster up here, about 6 markers, as we head up toward Battle Ridge and try to get a closer picture of them. And before we actually get to them, I'm going to do a pan around again, show you what's going on here. Here's the like 5 markers we just passed, and you can see in the distance, now it's a real distant group of cluster of markers. You can see how far away we're getting from the Keogh group now. And once again, flip around, heading up. These guys were fleeing for their lives. They had been surrounded by Indians on 3 different sides. Basically from the western side of Battle Ridge came Lame White Man, and people like 2 Moons and Wooden Leg came from Calhoun Hill to the south. And then behind this ridge here, where the marker 174 was, that's where Crazy Horse's warriors were. So you got troops surrounded on 3 sides, and the soldiers were in reserve at this point, which means they were all mounted and they weren't ready or prepared to fight. The transition of the battle occurred so quickly they didn't have a chance to mobilize, and that's why you have the clustering down there, mass death, and then flight, which we have here. Looking over here in the distance, this is where it gets tough to see the markers. There are 2 right here in front of us, and then there are 3, and then 3 more, and then 2 more. And these markers are getting far away from the trail, so it's hard to see what's going on now, but as you can see, these guys are still trying to flee towards Last Stand Hill, which, if I can get a good shot of it, right there. And almost up to the top of the ridge finally. As you can see, people are getting a little bit bigger. But that's basically the Keogh sector. We'll pick it up and get to the next part, because there's a lot more markers up there to the north by Last Stand Hill.